In this video, we're going to be looking at how to use text in Premiere Pro. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to enter and import some video footage. I've just got a short movie clip here that I'm going to be using for the video. So here you can see I'm just importing it from my shared drive. Now it's back in bottom left of my library. I'm going to drag it over into the timeline. You can see this clip, of course, has a watermark on bottom left, as you can see from Fandango movie clips. So I need to do something about that first of all. Just a very simple clip of a van pulling up and some criminals jumping out of the back about to rob a bank of some sort. So first thing I need to address, first of all, is getting rid of that watermark. So what I'm going to be doing here, don't forget of course and neglect the things at the very top of the page. You've got all your different headings here. So the first thing I'm going to do is add a crop effect to my video to get rid of the watermark. You might think, why am I doing this with text? So this is text that I don't want that's currently on a piece of footage. So I thought I'd just quickly show you this. As I've dragged crop onto the layer, you can see I've now got on the left hand side on effect controls, I'll bring that up to about 10 or 12% or so. And now you can see the watermark of text has disappeared. So this clip is now ready to use. What I'm now going to be doing is thinking about where text might come in. Because this is an establishing shot of the van pulling up, I'm going to put a location text on here. So very simply, I'm going to type Washington, USA. So here you've got your, of course, type tool on your menu bar. I'm just going to click anywhere on the screen. So very simply, if you click there, you can type whatever you wish. Of course, there's a default size and a default font. So I'm just showing you here that it just writes over the top of the footage at the moment. You can see also on the timeline, there's a third layer. So a second track has been added as well. On the graphics tab at the top, if you click this, you've then got additional options on the right-hand side. You can see my arrow hovering over the top of them now. So I can highlight them, I can delete. As I say, I'm going to type Washington, DC. Or Washington, USA. With that, what I can now do is change the typeface. I'm going to come away from serif and use sans serif, I think. Change the position of where I want that to be as well. So using my timeline at the moment, of course, it just appears and disappears on the timeline. When it ends on the timeline, it disappears. But I can stretch that, make it longer or shorter for whatever I need for my projects. So next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to select the text layer and I can physically move it by hand. I could also adjust the coordinates on effect controls on the left hand side, but this is a nice simple task. So I'm going to pop it bottom right, that fits quite nicely there. Make the font a little bit smaller, not that small, so I'm going to make that a little bit bigger. I'm going to move it into the corner. And of course this is a common convention in opening scenes of television dramas or film trailers. So a lot of students or teachers will use this. Officially I was looking for Trojan Pro, that's quite heavily used in industry, but I actually went with, what did I go with there? Source Center Pro at the moment. I just think that's quite a clean, simple font, a bit similar to Helvetica, that looks quite industry standard. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in on my timeline a little bit here, because as I say, at the moment, it just plays through, stays in that position, and then of course disappears. So it looks quite nice, quite clean, but rather than it just randomly pop up, I might now start thinking about adding an effect so that it does. Now what I'm trying to do here is make sure that the text has disappeared by the time it gets to the next scene. So using the left and right keys on the keyboard, I've moved the timeline, the blue scrub line, up until exactly the point that this van scene ends and it goes to the other cut of the side shot of the van. So now I know that that is exactly the end of the scene. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to think about possibly an effect that I want to add. So using my arrow, as you can see, what I can then do under effects, I can see I've still got crop type there. I'm going to look at cross dissolve. Cross dissolve is a really powerful tool, very, very simply, does all the keyframing for you, so there's no need to add additional keyframes. And all that does, it adds a nice, slow, smooth text appearing and disappearing. So here you can see on my example, I've added a cross dissolve at the start and the end of my graphic layer, so that the text slowly fades in and fades out. And by the time it gets to that mid shot of the door opening of the van, you can of course then see that the text has completely disappeared. Okay, so I'm just playing it through now, making sure I'm happy with that. That does look good. I'm happy with how that comes out. So this is using the freehand type tool. Of course, available to you. You also have a different way of writing. What I can also do before I go on to that actually is look at the scale. So I forgot I did this. So as well as just randomly staying the same size the whole time, what you can do, slightly level up, is you could have the text slowly zoom in or zoom out. In this example, I'll have it slowly zoom in, so you can see on my timeline I've added 2 keyframes, 100% at the end and 90% at the beginning. Keyframing is something I'll talk about more in further on videos that I do, but just for those of you that want to have a play around with size, there's loads of good videos already on YouTube about keyframing. See what you can find out there. Okay, so playing it through. Sorry if the video is a little bit jerky. But have a play yourself, see how you get on with it. For sure. There we go. And then there's the scene, of course, of the van playing. Okay, now what I'm going to do now, move on. I'm going to add, imagine the scene plays on. You might have an institution, logo kick in, or the title of the film. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to find a scene where I want a title graphic to come in, and I'm going to use a preset. So in Premiere Pro you have lots of preset text that you can use. You access these presets by clicking graphics at the top, and then instead of clicking edit you've got browse. So here I'm just finding a scene where I want the scene to go, so I've cut my video footage, and now what I can do, because I've cut that single clip into 2, I can now select the clip that I want and I can move it. So you can see here I've moved it to the right, creating this space between the cut clips. Now of course in here under graphics, if I click graphics now, I now have 2 options, either edit or browse. So if I click browse, what that will then do is open up all the presets. Now some of these presets look a little bit cheesy and a little bit tacky, but some of them are fantastic. So it's about what suits your project and what your likes and dislikes are. On all of these you can change the font, the size. On my computer I was working on, it didn't have the font that was specifically used, so I had to change the font. This is why this error message keeps popping up, but I just close that and I can edit it. So here you can see I've got a little graphic where the pre-made animation just has presents, so that kicks in very, very quickly. So here I can change the speed of these, I can decide how long the animation is to be. Now the advantage of using a preset is time, but the disadvantage is that it might not be exactly what you're looking for. So I tend to use the presets for things like lower thirds, for things like documentaries or news projects. On the top left hand side there you can see all the pre-made keyframes that Premiere Pro's created for you, so you don't have to do any of that, you see, so it does save time. Personally, I prefer to use the freehand type tool, but as I say, for a student it might be more suitable to use these presets. Here I've just got a conglomerate logo type presents or film presents, so here I'm just trimming what I actually want. I actually decide in the end that I don't need this second presents, and I'm going to get rid of it and just have a logo type as a fictional film company. So here I'm just making sure it runs through and aligning it with the timeline. Here, as you can see, I'm just going to delete that. Still got a blank bit of footage here, so I'm going to add another graphic. For your preference, I'm going to use another different pre-made animation. So this is just called classic title. You can see it's not quite the right size or length of time for the video. So what I'm going to do here is just realign it. Okay, of course it says your title here, so I need to click and edit that. There's that font message again, unfortunately, sorry about that. So I'm just going to close these warning signs. And then of course I'm going to just double click on the animation, So I'm just making it the right size here. Okay, it's like so. Resizing. There we go. And now all I need to do is play it through. See how it looks. So I'm quite happy with that. As I say, it's got agency there as the font. I'm not a massive fan, but look at those keyframes there on the left-hand side. I would have had to have manually done all of those if I wanted to create exactly the effect. So it can save time. Of course, just click text tool. You can see it's selected next to the video footage there in blue. And then I could write my title. So I'm just making up a movie here, The Robbery, episode 2 or 6. I can't remember what I wrote here. And then what you can do is play around with the size. Now I think that's a bit small myself. So what I might do here at this stage is add my own keyframe, because you can edit these pre-made presets as much as you wish or as little as you like. You can change the color, you change the font. So again here you can see I'm just adding some keyframes under scale, top left hand screen of the screen. So at the very end there I'm going to add maybe 200, so it's actually twice as big as what the preset was. And then I'm just going to play it through, see how it looks. So I'm just checking everything works, playing it through, and that animation then is completely made. So again here, just really the point of the video here is to talk about the two main options of adding text, either manually using text boxes and editing the font, the tools. I'm going to talk a bit more now about the different tools of editing you can do with text. Of course, you can download additional fonts to Premiere Pro. That's slightly more advanced, but again, something you can easily find on Google, how to, of course, import those fonts. But to be fair, Premiere Pro's got lots of existing fonts that you can do. I'm quite happy now looking at this timeline. The only thing is I probably need it to be a little bit longer. It was a little bit too quick, that. So what I'm now going to do is just make sure all the redundant space is filled. So remember what we've done. We've added a cross dissolve to some location text that we did freehand. As that then comes through, it then fades out. The clip continues to play. After that, when the van door slams, we've then got a conglomerate or an institution logo, followed by the movie title. We've actually then got some redundant blank space, which actually sometimes works really well just by playing through. And then we've got the movie or drama into scene 1. And that's just something very simply that you can add as you wish. So feel free to let me know any other questions you might have on text. But text is a really powerful tool as long as you know how to use it. And as I say, that graphics tab at the very top, and then either clicking edit if you've done it freehand, or browse if you want to use a pre-made text preset. Other things that you can of course click on, coming towards the last couple of clips of the video now, just underneath when you do click edit on some text, you've got lots of other useful tools like center alignment and these sorts of things. Very, very useful if you can learn how to use those sorts of things also. So just something to be aware of, and have a play around with it and see how you get on. But you can see there's the presets there. And thanks a lot for watching this video. We'll have some more videos coming out very soon to help you with all your Premiere Pro projects.